To my left here is my 2014 Lamborghini Huracan that I bought from Matt Armstrong around about a year ago. And in this video, we're going to get the engine and gearbox back in and get it running and driving about. Now this is what the car actually looked like just after its crash, and we think that was around about 10 years ago, and it had sat in storage ever since. Now I bought it off Matt Armstrong a year ago, but it didn't look like that. All the panels have been stripped off it, loads of bits have been taken off, and this is how I actually received it. No wheels, suspension on most corners completely obliterated, so before I could do anything, I needed to get new suspension on 3 corners and buy a set of wheels so I could just roll it off the trailer. But if you just look at the interior as well, so much dust, dashboard's gone, steering wheel's gone, both seat airbags have gone, the interior has been stripped, various parts missing as well. And it was all just a bit of a mess. Stop. Oh God, it's not going to stop. But I did manage to find 3 corners of suspension, 4 wheels, so I could roll it off the trailer somewhat successfully. But the frame is damaged and it needed repairing. So we had to take the engine and gearbox out and get the machine shop and Bob down to weld up the chassis and completely repair it. And in the meantime, I also sent the interior away, the seats, the dashboard, the steering wheel airbags, the seat belts, all to be repaired so I could come back and refit the interior. So a big thanks to Airbag Service UK for helping fix the interior, but now the frame's been repaired, it's time to get the engine back in. Now if you want to go back and watch some of these other videos, click in the top right hand corner and go and watch the progress so far. So that is where we are left. As we can see, the chassis has all been repaired, and now it's about start putting it back together. And the first thing we need to do is get it back in the air, take off the suspension for the near side rear, and we're going to need to clean up and paint the chassis to kind of match the Lamborghini colour, which is very, very rough. I mean, it's painted nice in some areas, it's matte in other areas, and it's just not painted at all in other areas. So I'm going to try and match it as best I can. I have found a paint that matches, so that is job numero uno. Also, I've got at the back there a really long brake line, and that I desperately need to remember to install before I put the engine in, because I cannot do it without, and that will feed in here somewhere. And guys, don't forget the Audi RS7 competition ends tonight at 9 PM. Massively undersold at the moment. So if you want to win this awesome 730 brake stage 2 Audi RS7, which is completely HPI clear, 2 keys, rear wheel steer, pan roof, heated and cooled seats, fully Vincere carbon intake, custom downpipes and £4,000 Vossen alloys, then click the link in the description, go grab your tickets, and as I said, the competition ends tonight at 9 PM, or there's a £45,000 tax-free cash alternative if you wish to take that instead. I'll see you tonight for the live draw. Good luck. So it's back up into the air to remove the near side wheel and the near side rear suspension arms and the suspension completely. Now obviously I don't want to damage the fuel tank, but it's proper stuck in there. And I don't want to like leave it out and end up I think it's a metal tank anyway, but still, I don't want to damage it. But I've got to get it out because the brake pipe I need to change, I can't remember why I need to change it, but I do. It goes right behind the tank. Now there's only 2 tank straps holding the tank in. Now I removed those straps, but it was still really tightly wedged in there, and I just about managed to get it out without damaging it. So I probably should have checked before I started taking out the fuel tank, but yeah, I ain't changing that brake pipe. Next to impossible to change. It goes right, well you can see it there, look, but it's above, and it goes right down above all those aircon pipes, coolant pipes, prop shaft. I'd have to remove the whole transmission tunnel, and then I had a look down this side. Now I don't know if you can see the brake pipe right up the top there, but it's above the aircon pipes, coolant pipes, above the front diff there, and yeah, you're just not getting to it. You'd have to remove everything to change that brake pipe because it is right at the top. I mean, you can see it there, look, right at the top, see, over everything. And the only way you're going to change it successfully with all the bends it's got in it is to remove all of this, and it isn't happening, I'm afraid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the straight bit, which is here, and there, and I'm just going to put a join on it just so it retains the original bend at the end there. Look, because that's the only reason I'm changing it, because that bend is no longer a bend on this side. So I'm just going to join it there and put a straight on it. And before anyone moans, there's joins on all cars. They have joins on them everywhere, so it's no different. So it's all been painted now. I've just gone over. You can see here, look, the best I can, really. As I said, the factory paint on the chassis is terrible anyway, so there's no way I'm really going to be able to mimic it properly. So I've just done the best I can and just coated it. So it's all fine now, it's all covered. And obviously it will get dirty because it's white, so eventually after a little bit of time that will blend in and look a bit more like this. But there's just no way I can match that. They've just, it literally looks like they've just got an aerosol from about 10 foot away and just gone, and that will do. So no, that's fine now. So chassis now painted, fuel tank back in. So now I'm just gonna do a few bits like put the heat shield in on this side, basically just preparation to get the engine back in, which I have just brought out of its hiding place and is sitting just there. So in preparation to get the engine back in, I refitted the heat shield to the near side, heat shield around the fuel tanks as well, because I won't be able to do those with the engine in. And then I need to get the engine off the pallet, which was really difficult because my engine crane couldn't go either side of the pallet. So I kind of had to pick it up and sort of drag it off the pallet bit by bit. And eventually I managed to pick it up fairly square and get it back into the back of the Huracan. Now, it was a little bit fiddly, obviously doing it completely on my own, but I did get there just about in the end and get it into position so I could do the bolts up and make the engine secure. I then turned my attention to all the ancillaries, all the pipes, coolant pipes, oil tank, oil cooler, which I had to buy a new one of because the other one was bent, all the wiring. I had 3 ECUs to plug in as well, and then we had cross braces that go across diagonally, then we got a cross brace on the top as well, and then we've got earth, starter motors, drive shafts, prop shafts. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this, but cracked on and got it all in position. Now we've got a cross brace, and weirdly there's 2 settings here. You can choose where to fit it. So you can either have it on this one here. So you've got 2 bolt holes, 2 and 2 there. So you can have it so it's slightly offset. So you can see the center of the bracelet isn't quite in the middle of the engine. And it looks like that's the setting that it was on before, because I can see where the bolts have obviously been tightened up and have ground a nice ring round the paint on the brace. But if you put it in this hole here, so move it over, it's bang on center, perfect in the engine. So surely I've got to put it on that one, haven't I? Right, so I think most of my wiring is in place. I've just connected the battery and turned the ignition on, and I've just read all the codes, and we are greeted with a sea of red, which is to be expected with, actually everything's red. Obviously battery being disconnected for many months, but what I'm looking for is the engine control unit and good start. It actually communicates with it. So what I'm looking, before I obviously start putting oil in, the exhaust in and go try and start it, I just want to make sure there's no sensors that I have forgotten to plug in, because access once the exhaust is on and stuff like that can be a bit of a pain in the arse. So yeah, I'm just double checking, because there's just, actually I'll show you, there's a lead around here. This lead here, and I didn't know where it went for ages, and I thought it bolted to the chassis because that's what it looked like, and it turns out it goes up there, bolts onto the side of the engine and goes on the starter motor right under there. So luckily I could fit my hand through the oil tank gap there, but obviously with the exhaust on that would have been a no-go. So right, I'll come back once these are all, there you go, engine control on it, no faults, so that's good. That should mean that everything is plugged in, sorry. So the only real thing to note for now is gearbox, parking lock sensor, and where is it here as well? It's parking lock mechanical malfunction. Now obviously it was working beforehand. Now this is the exact reason why I wanted to check before I put the exhaust back on, because the parking mechanism is under the oil tank, and I don't know if it's just had a hissy fit or something, but I've tried to put it in park and it won't. So I'm going to have a quick look into that, see if it's just jammed on the gearbox, but I need to put my hand down to do it. Now we have the piece de resistance custom made exhaust for the Huracan, made by Nicrobium and then fully heat wrapped by Imeco, and by doing that we can remove the need to have that horrible rear heat guard that goes over the exhaust, because the exhaust is now fully wrapped in heat shields, so it can be a bit more exposed. So this looks insane, and it's valved as well, so I have no idea how loud it's going to be because it's custom, but it should sound pretty good. Now I elected to work smarter here because that suspension unit is really difficult to lift. There's loads of flailing arms and the suspension strut that's flapping around. So I used my lifting table to put it into position so I could get my new near side rear strut in position and then connect up my suspension arms without breaking my back. So I had a bit of a brake fluid spillage, but exhaust is on, near side rear suspension is on, calipers now back in position. I've just put I've put 9 litres of engine oil in. I think they take just under 10, but I've put 9 in now because I don't actually know how much is in the engine because it's a dry sump system. No engine oil's leaked out, so that's a good start. So now we're gonna go for a first start, see if she fires up, and well, actually we're gonna hear this exhaust for the first time. So I'm sure in a workshop it's going to sound a lot louder. Right, I don't actually know where I meant to hold. Oh, straight into life. I can't see if anything's going wrong.
This isn't a good place to be. Oh, can't get out.
Sounds good to me, looks good to me. The valves are up here, and obviously I haven't connected them, so I don't actually know if they're open or shut. Sounds good to me. No, that was good. Right, so I'm now going to let the oil level settle a little bit. Top it up to the correct level and also add coolant to the system. But first stage, all good. No leaks by the looks of it, nothing's dripping on the floor, so I'd call that a success. And it's made it outside under its own steam, and you may have noticed I've now got a very expensive windscreen fitted, so we are getting there. It should now be mostly waterproof. Yeah, engine's in, started up, great, oil levels good, coolant levels are good, no leaks. I've just given it a little bit of a clean with a cloth because obviously it's had a lot of dust on it, but no, it's all looking pretty good. The exhaust sounds absolutely ridiculous. I gave it a little blip there. But I appreciate this engine hasn't ran for a while, so I don't want to absolutely redline it. But it is very, very loud. and it's starting to come together. I know the whole rear panel's missing, but it's essentially only 2 quarter panels, a bumper and a boot lid, and that rear end would look pretty good. Obviously we've got repairs to the door to make, and our structural pieces here are all good. So welded in. You can see the old one, look, I haven't transferred those little bits over, but there's a lot done. And we are on the home straight. But this is where it gets very difficult, because there's loads of now parts that I don't know what are missing. So we've got a headlight bracket here, but I don't know if that's the only one. We can see something snapped off here. We can see something snapped off here. Something's snapped off here possibly, and here. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that I know what it is, because there's one on the other side, so that'll just be a wing bracket. But what goes here, is it the same missing bits? I don't fully know. And are there any bits missing off the front? I know for a fact there's something else that goes on here to support the wheel arch liner possibly, or the wing, but I don't know, because I haven't seen it. I didn't take the parts off, so I just don't know. And follows a similar trend down here, like, are there any bits missing there? Is that bent? Should that be bent round? Should there be something else there? We've got brackets here. I know this comes out here. We know there's something missing here, and there's something that needs to be welded onto the chassis there. I don't know what it is. I'm guessing it's a bracket for the oil cooler. But does it have a wing bracket as well? There's just loads and loads of little bits that are potentially missing, and obviously with a car like this, you just don't want to second guess. You don't want to not know what's missing, what should be there. You want it to be 100%. Obviously I was trying to think of ways that I could make that happen, and the obvious thing would be to try and, obviously I've looked at loads of parts diagrams, you can't tell, it's impossible to tell what's what. And I looked into renting a Lamborghini to then strip the bumpers off to have a look at them, but then A, it's £2,000 a day to rent a Huracan, and B, pretty sure they're not going to let me take the bumpers off. I didn't even want to put it out there to ask if anyone has a Huracan that I could borrow to strip in the workshop. That just doesn't sit right with me, so I didn't want to do that either. So I've done something a bit stupid, but to me it makes a lot of sense, and for me it means that I'll be able to see the complete picture, and it was the only way that I could see me moving forward to do this properly. Now this was a mental decision, a very big decision, but I believe it was the right decision. Yes, I may be a lunatic, but I have absolutely financed up to my eyeballs to be able to buy another straight Huracan. This time, the cheapest Huracan in the UK that is not crash damaged. But for me, it was the only way that I could see this project coming to a conclusion, seeing the light. And the whole reason for this is so I can take all the panels off that I need to, see what's behind them, and know exactly what I need to do to fix the white one over there. And as I said, to rent a Huracan, it was circa £2,000 a day, whereas the interest on this is 10% of that a month. And also, I'm pretty sure I could sell it for what I paid for it in 6 months' time. So in effect, I'll lose not much at all having this, and definitely worth it in the grand scheme of things to have the peace of mind to know that this is 100% put together. But let me know, guys, what do you think in the comments? Like, how would you have done it any other way? In my head, I couldn't see it. The only other way you could have done it is maybe if someone lent you one for a week or two, but I just wouldn't want to put someone in a position. I just wouldn't want to strip someone else's car. Like, I'm going to be taking all the panels off it. it's going to be quite intense. So I suppose I should talk about this a little bit. It's pretty much identical to this one, the same year, same plate, like both 64 plates. This has done 40,000 miles, so it's quite a high mileage one, which is predominantly why it's one of the cheapest ones in the UK. Well, it was the cheapest one in the UK. This one has a full carbon insane body kit attached to it, down the side and the spoilers. You may have noticed in the RS7 video I did, this was actually in that video, and that is where I decided to buy the car. It was for sale at Ricky's at RE Performance, and he actually did a full engine rebuild on this. I believe there are videos on his YouTube channel. So it was peace of mind knowing that the engine's been rebuilt by Ricky, so there was no stress buying it at all. Other than that, it's got the same red interior, and it's got a spoiler, black wheels, satin black wrap, and on a private plate as well. But other than that, it's nice. Same interior as the white one. One thing to note, I have got a slightly offset steering rack. You can see that it's pointing a little bit to the left here, and this one is a bit more to the left. And I realised that my track rod end, if you can see in there, look, it's a bit more of a U shape than this one. You see this one's nowhere near as bent round as a U. So that is I was worried there was a problem with the steering rack, but no, that is my problem. My track rod on that side has been bent right in, so I needed to get a new one of those. But the plot has thickened even more since I decided to buy the black Huracan only about 10 days ago. I had a phone call last week off another YouTuber who inquired about the availability of the white Huracan, asking if it was for sale. And I said, obviously, no, I've got to fix it. I've got to do all this to it. We've still got little bits to do. I've done the hard bits, but we've still got some bits to do. And he said, but I have a different kind of plan for it. Would you be interested in selling it to me? I'm not going to say too much, but it was certainly interesting, and I have accepted an offer on the white Huracan. So I don't know where that leaves me. No money's been transferred, so technically it's still mine, but I have accepted an offer for a car and a proposal going forward about me being involved with the plans for it. I don't want to say too much, but let me know what you think in the comments, guys. That does mean the black one is completely redundant, but as I said, I bought it 3 or 4 days, 5 days before the conversation about the white one. So it's a bit of a bittersweet, but in a way, if the project continues and takes a different path, but I'm not the main guy doing it, it doesn't really matter as long as I'm involved maybe in some way. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'm kind of gonna leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, and maybe you'll see the Huracan again, maybe you won't, or maybe you'll see it on a different channel. Cheers, guys.